The option is either like it says right here, Spanish class or Volcano Pacaya hike. It says afternoon, but I'm going to go ahead and change that because I talked to Juan Carlos, the school director, and he said it's fine to do the Spanish class in the morning on that day. Because other than that, you'll notice that every afternoon is Spanish classes. But we actually leave for Lake Atitlan on Friday. It takes about 2.5 hours to be able to get to the lake. So it's good to get on the road and kind of try to avoid traffic as much as possible. So it's either volcano on that Friday or Spanish class in the morning so that we can then head off to the lake and have a nice little weekend together. Super excited. And so other than that, while I've got this calendar up, does anybody have any questions on the calendar? Go ahead,
I
Maya, or I'm sorry, Michelle.
It's okay. Hi. I wasn't sure. I don't remember if I signed up for the volcano, but we would like to do that. So where was that sign up?
Yeah, it was on the very first registration, so I believe that you did sign up for it.
Very
If I
good.
remember correctly, you weren't one of the two that did not sign up for it. So here,
Okay.
let me go off. I can just do the
Perfect.
people that have signed up for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Oh, hold on. There we go. Okay, so as of right now, we've got Ali, Sam, and Micah signed up for the volcano. Michelle and Maya, Melissa and Lisa, and then myself, Iris, and Talise. So if you didn't hear your name and you would like to do the volcano hike, please let me know. Otherwise, no worries at all. It'll just mean that I already have communicated with Juan Carlos, the director of the Spanish school, and he is expecting those people to be able to do the Spanish class in the morning.
For the volcano hike, are we going with a guide?
We are.
Okay.
Yep. There's a guy named Mauricio. He's a great guy. He's an interesting guide because it's a fairly mellow hike. It's like, well, I mean, it's probably like a blue. It's probably intermediate. But he's like a chain smoker. And so like the funny thing that'll always be in my mind is like he took a stick and he like put it into the lava and like lit it on fire and then he used that to light up his cigarette. And it's like, man, you got to be like lungs of steel here to be able to like be this guide and to be able to do that too. But yeah, so Luis will be taking us in the van. It is an early departure, so in order to be able to get it done and be headed back down, and then we'll kind of go back to our. A lot of times, what happens is that the family homestay, we talk to them ahead of time to be able to give you a sack lunch, essentially, because you do get your 3 meals a day at the family, with the exception of Sunday. So they are in advance. They say, we'll go ahead and make you a sack lunch, and so then you bring that in the van on the way back from the volcano, and then we'll head off directly to the lake. Speaking of which, if you ever are not able to do a dinner, like let's say that you want to go on like the last Thursday with people that you've met at the Spanish school or other people that you've come across throughout the journey, just make sure that you're giving your host family notice that you're not going to be able to be there for dinner, because they are assuming that you're going to be there every time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So common courtesy would probably be like 24 hours notice. Or if something comes up, let's say that just think about them cooking it basically. So like usually they're kind of getting things ready for dinner as early as like right after lunch. So as long as you let them know, like by lunch, like, hey, I'm not going to be there for dinner tonight. I'm going to go do this, this, and this with these people or whatever. Totally fine. But yeah, try to give them at least like one meal's length notice if you're ever going to be missing out on their meals. But hopefully not, because it's a really big part of the experience to be able to sit down at the table, practice your Spanish, and take part in that whole thing and kind of experience some really great food. Our family homestay families are really great cooks.
So, because I'm not sure about the volcano yet, but if I do the Spanish classes, will I have a ride back and forth to the Spanish class?
Yeah, the Spanish school is actually walking distance. So it's
Okay.
right there, kind of in town within a few blocks of your host family.
Okay.
So if you do the morning Spanish class, you just walk, or if you do the volcano, then we have a meeting point that we'll go over in the orientation as far as where that is, to be able to meet up with Luis and go to the volcano.
And then you said the horse doesn't go the whole way up to the top. So how much hiking would be from where the horse drops you off to where you have to walk up?
Well, the horse goes the whole way of where we're going. We don't go the whole way to the top. So
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of like this mountaineer person in Colorado that likes to climb peaks and stuff like that. So I was a little bummed out when I found out that we weren't going to be going to the summit of this volcano. And then the guide says, no, like that's dangerous. You can't do that. Like, all right, fine.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so you would go, the horse does go basically the entire way that we would be going.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, other than that, we did go over a little bit as far as the school, El Hato. So I didn't want to repeat stuff that's already been said, but if there's any lingering questions that you guys have, as far as El Hato goes, that you kind of maybe processed through from last time and were wondering about, just as a quick recap, you're going to be matched up with a teacher at the school. It's pre-K through 6th grade, and they also have a PE teacher and an art teacher, and so you'll be with that same teacher the whole time. They have a brand new building, so this building of the picture is the old one. So I'm really curious to see. I mean, I saw it last year, but we weren't allowed to go in it because of the pandemic. So they had done their equivalent of distance learning, which was basically to meet up at different community members' houses. So that was interesting. But anyways, the idea, let me go back to here. So the first 1 to 2 sessions is kind of just to mimic a student. So like if they're taking notes, just to take notes. It might be math, so they might be going over a problem, just to bring your same notebook that you've been using for your Spanish classes, and just to kind of mimic a student. But then the idea is by those last 2 sessions, so for Tuesday and Thursday of that second week, is that if you do have, like, let's say you have a passion in whether it be sign language or some sort of art or science or whatever the case may be, to be able to have something that you might be able to share with them as far as like a little mini lesson essentially that you can try to practice in Spanish. So that's the goal. But if you're not there, that's okay. Even if you want to try to do something in English as far as like, okay, so here's some English colors, or here's something about my hometown that I want to teach you about, or whatever, where you can kind of share that with them. But it also depends on the teacher that you work with. So that's where, if you are thinking that might be something that you're interested in, then we can kind of start to arrange for that first week so that you can have that for the second week, depending on which teacher, because most of the teachers are super collaborative and just ready to kind of share that element. But like certain teachers are different, and so there's a couple of teachers that they'd rather it just be kind of where they're the sage on the stage, so to speak. So but yeah, it's best to be able to, if at all possible, I think we have a small enough of group this year that we might be able to all be in a different classroom with a different Guatemalan El Hato teacher. So that'll be kind of cool to be able to just be a part of that classroom community. And as part of the exchange, we do designate, I think it's $50 for each of you that's part of your tuition, that will be going towards whatever they find that is item of need, an in-kind donation. So we're already kind of working on, they have these pilas, which are basically like big, it's like a big sink that kind of is like where they like wash their dishes and stuff like that. So with this new school, I guess it came without pilas. So we're gonna be donating 2 different, basically like gigantic dishwashing sinks, to them. And so that's gonna be the main donation that they've asked for. I had mentioned that a lot of times they'll ask for toner, but sometimes it's random stuff like pilas. So we do have a little bit left over, out of that $50 per person to be able to designate to something that might come up throughout the time. And then if you are, if you do have some extra room in your, carry on, or if you're planning on checking a bag, we're flying Avianca, which I just found out. I've never flown Avianca before, which I believe is out of El Salvador. Just found out that they do not, in fact, let you travel with a free checked bag. So I had all this stuff that a friend of mine was planning on donating, like clothes and things, but had to bring it back to him. So that's kind of a bummer. But other than that, the main thing, all of this stuff you can get in Guatemala, with the exception of, I know that Ali said that you guys have some USBs, which is great. And then this printer cartridge, it's easier and cheaper to be able to get that in the US, even though they do have an Office Depot in Antigua and a Walmart in Guatemala City. So all this stuff is definitely something that if you wanna, when we are there, you can always go by Bodegona and get, or don't worry about it. You don't even need to worry about it because, like I said, there is an element of your tuition that goes towards that. Questions on El Hato before we go on to homestays?
The question that I know Sam had from last time, he's outside right now, but he was like, it's a pre-K to 8. So he was like, am I supposed to bring, like Sam had said, I really wanted to be in the Guatemalan classroom, but Sam was like, if it's a pre-K, maybe Micah wants to play outside with them. And I was like, no, it's one thing to invite teachers to your classroom. It's another to invite a toddler. So I know he was asking me that. So I wanted to.
As far as Micah going?
What?
As far as
Like,
Micah going to the
yeah,
school
I think
too?
it would be disruptive for Micah to come to the school. But if it would not be, Sam said he would be happy to be dad at the school and help out with Micah while I was in the classroom. But
Oh.
no, it's disruptive, but
Well, I can tell you that they have this preschool teacher that's just incredible, and she's super gentle and like really amazing too. And so I know when Iris was 3.5 is the first time that she went to Guatemala. Iris and my mom, so it was my mom and Iris and me that went, and they had a great time in there. So,
yeah,
and I mean,
Sam
three
would
and a
do
half
that.
versus, yeah, 3.5 versus 2, there
Right.
is definitely a difference, but we can always try it,
Okay.
you know?
Just know that Sam, if needed, Sam has said he could be dad in that
In
situation.
that space. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's there's stuff to do up there. Like they can go on little walks and stuff like that. So
We didn't know. We just Sam
we'll
was like,
try
"It's
it out
a
on Tuesday. On that first week, we'll try it out and have Sam and Micah together with I think it's Doña Luisa. So we'll try that out.
Okay. Cool.
Any other questions on the school shadowing? All right, guys, the moment that you've all been waiting for. The homestays. So we talked about this a little bit. Everybody will have their own bed. There's a possibility if you have Hilda. So Hilda is one of our amazing host mothers that has, and that's actually where Iris and Talisa and I are going to be staying as well. So we have like, I think there's, including Iris, Talisa, and me, I think there's 6 of us that are staying at Hilda's because it's more of a, I don't want to say a castle, but it's definitely a compound at Hilda's house. So like there's an outbuilding that's kind of in the back, and I think that's where Iris and Talisa and I are going to be staying. And then there's like I want to say there's 3 rooms in the main house, but there might be just 2. So, but you will have your own bed no matter what. No more than 4. That's a lie. No more than 2. And then got a little kind of summary as far as the meals go. And I will also say that with different dietary needs, that is being communicated to the host families. With that said, if anything comes up, we're like, oh, I'm keep on getting served meat and I'm vegetarian, let me know, or Blanca, and we can definitely check in. And or you can, talk to your host mother. It's kind of like what I say with my students, where it's like, check with me first. Don't just go automatically to the principal. So that's super annoying when they do that, but sometimes that's what people are more comfortable with. But so if you're more comfortable just going to me, that's fine. Because I know with Spanish skills, it's a little bit tricky to have those kind of uncomfortable, that might put you in the danger zone as far as the zone of proximal development. So I get that. But let's go ahead and click on the actual homestay families here.
A question, Steve, about food and things. I don't want to be rude
Yeah.
at all, but like, for example, like if I bring snacks for Micah, I guess my first question is, am I allowed to bring food into Guatemala if it's like packaged food? And then would that be like, because applesauce pouches, for example, like
Yeah.
would that be, am I allowed to bring that?
Yeah.
Like he'll eat
Definitely,
food,
especially
but
if
he
it's
eats like
if you're
5
checking
meals.
if you're checking something, then yes. If
Okay.
it's on your carry-on, then that's less likely, because, for example, on the way home, we've run into trouble before because somebody checked that they're bringing back a farm item because they bring back coffee, because we have that coffee tour and people buy coffee, and so they check yes, and it's like, well, is that really a farm item? And so, but whenever they check it in their checked bag, it's never a problem. So I
Okay.
would just recommend, if you have a checked bag, to be able to just put those snacks and stuff in your checked bag.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I don't think, and also Amparo knows, like I've stayed with Amparo like 7 or 8 times, and she's amazing. And that's where Iris stayed when Iris went there, and so
Because
yeah.
I don't want to be rude, and like I know
Oh
like
no,
Micah will
it'll be fine.
probably eat at the meals, but like I don't know. I just
Totally. With a 2-year-old, it's different. Yeah, you got to give yourself a little bit of grace with a 2-year-old. Like with my 7-year-olds, with Talise, I'm going to be like, no, you need to take 2 bites
right.
before you can
That's what
say,
we
no,
do.
I don't
Yeah,
want it.
he has to try the food, but like I don't know.
Totally.
He'll eat pretty much anything though.
So I'm going to go ahead and put this link in here so you can see your individual host family's information. So basically, we've got Elsa. I've actually stayed with all of these except for Hilda. So this is our first time that we're going to be staying with Hilda. But every single time somebody stays with Hilda, they're like, "Oh man, it's like the upper crust of society over there." So I am looking forward to it, even though Elsa and Amparo are also amazing. So there's a little bit of kind of different pictures as far as what you can expect with the various aspects. I do know that Elsa just got a new terraza, like a little patio, essentially, that's kind of on the upper part, kind of on their roof. And so it's got a really great view. I mean, when I was there, it was there, but they've just done some improvements on it. So it's got a great view of the volcano, and it's a great little spot to do some reading or whatever you want to do. So that's oh, this is Hilda's. Okay. And then we got Amparo. She really is mi madre de Guatemala. And so nice big place as well. It has a little information about her spot there. And then there's Elsa. Um, really sweet lady as well. Elsa actually has some background in El Salvador. She's Salvadorian. So most likely one of the meals that you'll get is going to be Salvadorian pupusas, which are basically like kind of like quesadillas. It's like kind of doughy. It's not like a tortilla as much as kind of like this. It's kind of like a really yummy hot pocket almost. So yeah, and we had a debate on horchata, Mexican horchata versus Salvadorian horchata, because I personally prefer Salvadorian horchata. It's less sweet and more cinnamon. So yeah, feel free to take a look at this. It's in the chat, and I can tell you that that's time and time again, that's always one of the best experiences, is being able to have that, friendship that you build and have that experience of the host family. I know that we have some people that have done host families before, and I'm sure that you'd probably agree. But if there's any other questions as far as the families go ahead and unmute yourself and let me know. All right. Well, what about any other general questions before we wrap things up? Because that's all I've got for you.
All right, actually, I do have a question about the homestay family.
Okay, go ahead, Libby.
So I'm going to be staying with you. And how do you pronounce her name again?
Hilda,
Hilda.
like
Okay.
Hilda is the pronunciation.
Okay. Is she the only one in the house? Because I'm trying to think about like the bringing the gift. I'm just wondering like how much I should bring for, like, is it just one person or does she have other family members that live with her?
Yeah, so we have a kind of a going away dinner that we do on that Friday at the end, and so we always say that she can bring whoever she's divorced.
Okay.
And so she always brings her older daughter, I think she's very close with. I don't think that the daughter stays at the house there, but
Okay.
that's who she kind of brings as her invitado.
Okay.
And so, yeah, but as far as like gifts and stuff, it's fine to just bring something for just a small something for Hilda.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Speaking of which,
Go ahead.
sorry
Somebody
about
else can
that,
go.
Lisa. Like Libby was saying, as a reminder, just something very small from your home, from your town or whatever, that it's not going to take a lot of space up in your carry-on or whatever, for both your host mother. Does not need to be for the entire couple. It could just be for the mother, as well as your Spanish teacher. So you will also have the same Spanish teacher throughout the 2 weeks, unless you don't hit it off. So that's definitely something that happens, is where it's like, they're super Christian and I'm not, or there's just not that personality connection, because like we talked about last time, it's a long time, 4 hours a day to be with one person. So if you did want to switch Spanish teachers from 1 week, I ask that you try it out for 1 week. And then if you're ready to switch to somebody new for that second week, then we can totally make that happen. Just let me know by that first Thursday, as far as that you wanted to be able to try out a different Spanish teacher. But other than that, Alfredo is the kind of curriculum and kind of the coordinator of the teachers. And he always does a really great job. We pass along a lot of kind of the demographic information, what you're interested in and stuff like that. And Alfredo does a masterful job usually of kind of matching you up with somebody great. So I'm not concerned about that at all, but it happens. So go ahead there, Lisa.
Okay, guys, who wants to come to Tikal with me? I don't want to go by myself. That's my big question. I'm not going alone. What does that mean? No, really,
I'm not
that's the
seeing a
question.
lot of action on that.
So what happens if I'm the only one signed up for that? That doesn't feel safe.
Well, no, there's still so we have a tour agency, so they like meet you at the airport in Flores and stuff like that. But I tell you what, if we don't have any takers by the end of the weekend, then we'll cross that bridge at that point. We haven't made any reservations or anything like that. So, but I can give you more information about the tour agency that we've used in the past. It's our former, before we had Luis, it was this other guy who's also named Mauricio, who was our tour agency guy. And we actually went through them with our Tikal trip when we had this guy, Nate, about 3 years, maybe 4 years ago, who went to Tikal without anybody else. And he had a great time. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay, and then I saw that I would be flying from Guatemala to Tikal. Is that all taken care of through that agency?
Yep.
Okay.
So included on that would be your flight, and it has on the website, it has all the stuff. So you got your airfare, ground transportation, your lodging, including once you get back to Guatemala City, there's this place that's right by the airport that so basically you get back into Guatemala City on Monday
Mhm.
evening, and then you just go straight to this agency that I'm sorry, this hotel, to be able to the next morning, whenever your flight is, they provide a free shuttle over to, and it's like a gated community and stuff like that.
Okay, so when are you going to give the group by to decide if anybody else is going?
Through the end of the weekend. So if anybody wants to be able to, and I will say that if at least one other person goes with Lisa to Tikal, then we can afford to send Blanca with. So it would be a much better experience. And again, I do understand with the price, $745. But let me go ahead and just share my screen one more time here as far as that goes. So here's the Tikal information here. Most of the meals are included. So it's kind of, I have an itinerary that kind of says which meals are and which meal are not included. But then there is one, there's what is it called? A sunrise tour to the Temple 4, which is the one that actually is above the rainforest canopy. So that's not included. You do get a general daytime tour of the national park that's included in there. But the sunrise tour is not. So I think that's like an additional $40 or something like that to be able to do the sunrise tour. It's really cool, not as much for the archaeological side of things and the historic, but it's more just like being able to hear the rainforest wake up. Like there's howler monkeys all over the place and all the birds and stuff like that. So you go in there before the sun goes up, and it's like kind of being able to, it's kind of this surreal experience being able to hear the rainforest wake up. So I would definitely recommend that sunrise tour, even though it's not included on that price there. All right, guys. So as questions come up, please, Allie, did you have something? Go ahead.
We had one. So when we were looking at the CDC, and I can't recall if I asked this last time, but about the typhoid vaccine, that's the only one that is not part of routine vaccinations here. And we asked our pediatrician last week, and she's extremely chill. And she was like, no, you don't really need that. Like, don't worry about it. And I was just kind of wondering, did everyone else get it? And we like need to like figure it out, or like, you guys did. Okay. It's like,
I
didn't
got mine at Walmart.
okay. It's a little harder to get it for Micah, and our pediatrician said she wasn't concerned. I just didn't know. That's the only one we don't have.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think that it's a foodborne illness or water. I don't remember exactly. But I think it's kind of like along the lines of salmonella. But
Like it's not like we looked into like what is typhoid as well, and yeah, it's like a gastro thing and like from food, and yeah.
I know that when I was on Kaiser Permanente, they did recommend it. They had like the whole travel clinic and stuff like that, but sometimes it's a little bit different for children, so I'm not sure. So for me, I would just I always follow the whole thing to just listen to your pediatrician, you know. But I think that for adults, I think that, like I said, when I was with Kaiser, they said yes, and the CDC says yes, I believe, but I'm not sure what they would say for children. So, but pediatrician's a pretty good resource.
And then I just didn't get it because he didn't.
Yeah.
I have a question. I can't remember if I put on the application that I was a vegetarian and of who I would tell for that part.
Yes.
I did put it
Yeah, you
on.
did.
Okay. Maya's not, but I am. But okay. Just wanting to make sure I remember to do that.
And if you guys have any, yeah, it says vegetarian on there. if you guys have any other kind of specific wonderings like that, I want to be able to make sure to honor everybody's time. The only thing that I have is I have one person that did say no dogs or cats. And then I also have with Michelle saying as far as the vegetarian. And then, yeah, but if you need to get reminded on any of that stuff, I'm happy to be able to take care of that over text or email.
Can I ask one more question? Sorry, guys.
Absolutely.
When we go to the lake, did I hear you say we're all taking a shuttle together to the Airbnb?
You got it. Luis
Okay.
is the man. And we're going to stop at a grocery store on the way in to be able to get our things because it's kind of off the beaten path once we get there. So once we get there, it's like if you want to go anywhere, the best mode of transportation is boat. So that's where you can go to the various villages and things like that. There is some. I remember last year, I think they got into the back of a pickup to be able to go somewhere because there's like one village that you can get to that's the main way that they get there. But I'm planning on honestly just probably staying there. But they do have tours that we can. Luis also has this guy that's another transportation guy, but he's like a boat guy. And so we've used him in the past when the other place that we went to was you had to be able to get there by boat. And so, but now that we have this other place, we still could say like, hey, come to this place and pick us up because we want to go on a cultural tour or whatever. But if I remember correctly, last time it was actually a little bit cheaper just to be able to pay somebody to go in the back of their pickup. All right, guys. Well, I'm super psyched. I can't wait to be able to meet all of you guys, or in the case of Ali, see you again down in Guatemala. And again, as far as the airport transfer, we've got everything. Luis is amazing, and we've got all your flight info. If something happens where you're actually not on the flight, that's when make sure you're reaching out to me. I will have my phone. T-Mobile is great as far as just being able to just have my phone on me. And so I'll be able to still get messages and stuff like that. So you can always just text me. I will be monitoring my regular phone number that you guys all have. And then I will also I'll send out a contact list with important contact numbers, family homestay numbers, as well as Blanca. And then like the Spanish school is another good one that I'll put on there. So I have that I just haven't put in the folder yet. And then other than that, guys, yeah, I did get the message from the one person that has not gotten the Rigoberta Menchú book, but that would be kind of my one recommendation is at least to get the first few chapters kind of taken care of. For the people that are doing the graduate credits, that's definitely something that you would want to be going through a little bit more rigorously. And I will be reaching out to you if you are in the graduate course to be it, because on the syllabus, it does say that there's kind of a pre-departure conversation that we need to have. So usually that's just a phone conversation. So there's two people that are on the trip that are going to be doing those graduate credits. And then one person that actually, I think Lisa knows, Jenny is going to be doing the graduate credits, even though she went last year. So we've got not a big graduate credit contingent, but I'll be reaching out to you guys as far as that goes. And then other than that, really looking forward to seeing you guys down there. I know Blanca and Sodi are super excited as well, as far as and Luis and La Union and all your host families. So if any questions come up between now and then, feel free to reach out. I'm just mainly around doing housework and entertaining my kids. So yeah, let me know. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See
Steve.
you
Bye.
soon.
All
Bye.
right, have a good one.